Yo, I'm Axel the Beast, and this is the Curiosity Shop, the Zelda Dungeon video mailbag, where I answer your Zelda questions. Master Kokiri9 asks, do you ever feel Wind Waker was highly underappreciated? Why or why not? No, actually, I didn't necessarily. I mean, there were some people who didn't like it, and probably unfairly, and might be underappreciated in that way. But actually, in my opinion, I feel it's a little overrated, actually. I know I'm probably gonna get flamed for this, actually, but, so just ahead of time I'll say that this is just my opinion, this is just how I felt about the game, my own opinion. I thought the game was a little too easy. I think it was a lot too easy. I had no challenge with the game whatsoever, actually, even playing through with only 3 hearts, and, I think that the sailing, they didn't do it well. Not that it wasn't a good idea, but that it wasn't executed as it should have been, or it could have been, And the game was just, kind of untraditional. It followed kind of like with Ocarina of Time, then Majora's Mask, then Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess. There was this sort of trend as things went along, as each new game came out, they kind of did less and less of the old stuff. And I think Wind Waker went along with that. I think overall, it was less than it should have been, and I think it's a little overrated because of that. Because I hear a lot of people say it's like the best game in the series, and I just don't agree with that. That's how I feel. I see what you're saying though, and I think it's underrated from that point of view. Yeah. All right, second question. Garrett Anderson asks, what is your opinion on A Link to the Past being remade into Four Swords Adventures? What do you think are the differences? Four Swords Adventures is not A Link to the Past, I gotta say. A Link to the Past was remade onto the Game Boy Advance as A Link to the Past with 4 swords, and this was just the same game. There were a couple differences, like they changed the ice dungeon a lot, the ice palace. There was one heart piece you had to get a completely different way, and there was just a couple minor alterations, but it was pretty much the same game. And they released it with 4 swords, which was this 4-level multiplayer minigame kind of thing. It was kind of its own story, though. Then they released Four Swords Adventures on the GameCube, which was its own game entirely, kind of based on the Four Swords idea. It's not A Link to the Past, even though it shares a lot of the same graphics. S. McLaughlin asks, do you think Nintendo should bring Agahnim back into a new Zelda game, and what do you think fans will think of this? No, I don't think they should bring Agahnim back, because Agahnim is Ganon. I think if they brought him back, it'd be kind of weird, and I think the fans would think the same thing. I don't think you can bring him back without the plot being weird, because he is Ganon. You could have Ganon come back pretending to be him again, but that wouldn't really make much sense. I don't see it happening. I'm not against villains returning, or even against new villains that aren't Ganon. I just don't think this will happen. I just don't think it would make any sense. Demon Nab asks, is Majora's Mask a continuation of Ocarina of Time? Yes, Majora's Mask is a continuation. It's a sequel in pretty much every possible way. The Hero of Time from Ocarina of Time basically is the Link you play as in Majora's Mask, and there's some theories, about he was searching for Navi, and to be honest, based on what we know, that is probably the case. He was probably searching for Navi, and that's why he was, wandering, searching for a long-lost friend or whatever. I've actually gotten in a lot of debates about it in the past, and I've been convinced of it. Technically, it's not 100% proven, but it's pretty much 90% proven. So, yeah. Zeekzor asks, hey, I just wanted to know what you think about mini-dungeons, in Zelda Wii or just in general. Do you think we'll see them soon? Do you think it's a good idea? Hell yes, I actually love the mini-dungeon idea. They did it in Ocarina of Time. They had the ice cavern, they had the bottom of the well. They did it in Majora's Mask with the pirate fortress, the ancient castle of Icona. And even in Twilight Princess, they did the cool little lantern cave thing, which were like these totally optional mini-dungeons. I loved that part. I loved having those. I just think, optional or not, having more dungeons is a great idea, even if they're just teeny ones. hell, there's even the Cave of Ordeals, you know, in Twilight Princess, and the Savage Labyrinth in Wind Waker, and then they had the Take 'em All On challenge in Spirit Tracks. Those are kind of like a dungeon in themselves too. I always like those fight a bunch of enemies things, and I'd like to see more of them. And I think I'd like to see more mini dungeons too. It's been a great idea in the past, and I think would be an even cooler idea if they milked it more. Obviously they could do it badly, but they do something weird where it's like a bunch of useless space. Maybe they just have a bunch of dungeons that aren't even worth being there. They're so bad. But I don't think they'll do that personally. I mean, even like in Ocarina of Time, like the Ice Cavern, it was small. It wasn't as, I don't know, wholesome as other dungeons, but it was good enough in its own right, and it was good as a mini dungeon. So I don't see why not. I think it's a good idea. Scene Langley asks, what do you think some of the disadvantages of Wii Motion Plus being in Zelda Wii could be? I don't think there's any issues in itself. I don't think Wii Motion Plus itself is going to cause problems within the gameplay or have disadvantages, really. I think most of the problems it might cause come with opinion. Like, I think people who are more hardcore gamers or prefer the classic control types will not like it, and I think that might turn off the chunk of gaming history. I like classic control in gameplay, actually. I like holding a controller in my hands. That said, I'm not terribly I don't hate motion controls, you know? I don't have a terrible hatred of them. I think they're cool, but they should be used, you know, not all the time. I think it's kind of weird how the Wii is just using motion control game after motion control game. That said, I wouldn't like it if from now on every Zelda game uses motion controls, and I'm pretty sure everyone else feels the same way. But I don't mind it with this game, and I think overall it won't hurt the sales because everyone pretty much feels that way. They're like, okay, we'll do it this time, but next time maybe not, you know? That's the only disadvantage I can think of. Maybe I'll think of more, and maybe I'll do a whole video on it like I do sometimes. But that's all I got for now. Nick Cass asks, what do you think about the new Zelda control-wise? Do you think it will be classic controller compatible? No, not at all, actually. The Wii Motion Plus, it really doesn't work with the classic controller. You know, the controls, they're just completely different in nature. You can't design a game to be capable of both, in my opinion. I mean, think about it. Okay, you got your Wiimote, and you're swinging it, and you're swinging your sword, right? And then you got the classic controller. The swordplay will be programmed to be used with that swinging of the remote with Wii Motion Plus. It'll be designed to realistically detect it, and the battles will be strictly designed for this realistic detection, so you'll actually have to parry enemy attacks in the right place, or hit them in the right place to avoid their weak points. You'll actually have to, you know, be coordinating it with your actual physical body. If you have the classic controller, you'd be pressing buttons. Theoretically, if it was a really intuitive control scheme and really well done, you could maybe use the joystick to decide, you know, like to aim or whatever, or do the same thing. But I think it would be so different in nature that it would be not really hard or nearly impossible to replicate it both ways. And since that's impossible, I don't think Nintendo's going to take the time trying to come as close as they can. That's just how I feel, but I think it's... I would bet any amount of money that we would not see both, and I would be shocked if we did see both. Last question. Bill Perry asks, do you think that Zelda Wii will be as graphic and dark as Twilight Princess, and receive the T rating? If it has the Twilight Princess art style, the really dark, realistic look, then yes, I do believe it will be like Twilight Princess in terms of how dark it was, or how grisly or graphic it was, or creepy. Will it be the Twilight Princess style is an entirely another question. They have actually not confirmed the style. They've said they've implied they're still trying to decide what the style is, despite the fact that that piece of artwork. I mean, that makes sense though, because they had that Ocarina of Time style artwork with the really good graphics a while back, and then Wind Waker came out and we were like, what? With the Toon Link style. Even I was like, what the hell is this when I saw it? They could be doing that again, and we could have a complete surprise when it turns out what we see what the actual game is going to look like. Do I like the idea of it being mature and scary? No, not really. I thought Twilight Princess was too dark. I thought the monster designs were too disturbing. And I thought all in all, the game was too mature. I did not like the teen rating. I think Zelda should stay family friendly. It's just what it has always been. It is what makes it Zelda. I think that it should be that way personally. And I wouldn't like to see it changed. I'm uptight. You know this. You've watched my videos. I'm very, very uptight, and I'm very hardcore about this. I'm very old school, you know? But that's how I feel, and as for whether it will be or not, it kind of depends on if it's Twilight Princess style. If it's not Twilight Princess style, I don't think it will be. Alright, that's it for this time, guys. See you next time, and don't forget to send your questions to the email address in the description. Later.